But in a tick check, you can only check the front of your body. So your buddy would bend over and pull his cheeks apart.
I bet
and
he
you
would.
have to check.
I bet he would.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down to Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we love when growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you even remember what Blockbuster Video was? If you answered yes, and this is the podcast for you. I'm one of your three co-hosts, Roger Roper, and alongside me are my two co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And Kerri Delbert Gross.
Respect is fine, but actually I've always wanted to be feared.
And each week we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. Each week the audience selects from 6 movie choices that we then break out our race car VHS tape rewinder and watch the movie that tallied the highest number of votes. At the end of each podcast, the three of us will provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie would deem to take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. And you can check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review television series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, and Game of Thrones. That being said, Big D, what are we in for this evening?
Oh, this is a very special category.
Yeah.
I can't remember who recommended it. And what I've started to do is I annotate who recommends the category so we can give them credit. Unfortunately, I don't remember who it was, but this is Animals Attack. We got almost 1,500 votes. In last place was Monkey Shine, then Jaws 3D, Cujo, Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea, and the winner with over 500 votes and 35%, the 1990 Spider classic, Arachnophobia.
Yeah, this category, I was very disappointed. Well, I was excited and disappointed at the same time because, as you will find out, I've never seen Arachnophobia, but I have seen Anaconda multiple times, and that is just a terrible animal attack movie. Also, Jaws 3D. Most of these were terrible. The only movie that I can remember really being scared of was Cujo. Cujo scared the shit out of me as a kid. And I think it's because it's very gritty. It's almost like a B movie. It's like, remember when Quentin Tarantino did his Grindhouse movies?
Mm-hmm.
That's what Cujo feels like to me, like that Driver movie. And so I feel like that would have been a good one for us to explore and see if I was still scared. But Arachnophobia, I guess, was okay because I had never seen it. But
yeah, I wish we had done Cujo. I was at a hotel recently and it was on TV and I'm like, this is such a shitty good movie. Like it's actually scary. So I was kind of bummed when we got Arachnophobia, but we were also in for a treat.
Hell no. I can remember vividly the scene of where the son is trapped in the car and he's going into I don't know if he's dehydrated. He has a seizure and the mother's panic. I feel that right now. My heart starts to race. So we'll probably have to revisit that again. This movie was not that scary.
Yeah, I think there's a best of Stephen King somewhere in an upcoming movie. But if it's not, I think we need to game the system and include Cujo. So vote on our website, shatthemovies.com. That being said, Arachnophobia is a 1990 American horror comedy film starring Jeff Daniels and John Goodman. It was the first film released by the Walt Disney Studios Hollywood Pictures label, as well as being Frank Marshall's directorial debut. The film's story centers around a newly discovered Venezuelan spider being transported to a small American town that produces a new species of deadly spiders, which begin killing the town's residents one by one. Shooting did take place in Venezuela as well as California, and the film was released in the United States on July 18th, 1990. It was a modest commercial success, gaining $53.2 million at the box office and received generally positive reviews from critics. It was billed, however, as the first thrill-comedy or thrill-omedy. According to materials released with the film, that meant a thriller with a sense of humor. The Washington Post dubbed the term clumsy coinage, while Entertainment Weekly dubbed it awkward and said in a review that it was an awful word. So, as I said, I've never seen this movie, but Big D, Kerri, what are your memories of this film?
So I must have seen it because I can remember pieces of it, but I don't have a memory of sitting down and watching it all the way through. So I almost feel like I'm in that same boat as you guys, that this was a first-time viewer, but don't have a memory of it. I don't know why. I'm not a big fan of animal attack movies other than Cujo, like Jaws. So this is almost a first time for me as well. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I was probably 3 when this movie came out, and I have memories of it, as we were watching it, some of the plot I remembered, but I have, I guess, arachnophobia. I'm fucking terrified of spiders. So my only thought is that my older sister forced me to watch this as some sort of sibling torture. But I can't think of a specific time that I sat down and watched it in its entirety. And it actually took me 3 attempts to watch this. And I had to be in the kitchen at the counter with the lights on. Like I couldn't even sit on the fucking couch. I couldn't watch it in my bed. A cat would, brush against my leg in the kitchen and I was like screaming. So yeah.
Yeah, this is the first one that my wife, she hasn't watched the most recent movies with me. I said, come on, hey, let's sit down and watch this. She's like, oh, what's it about? I was like, don't worry. It's something funny. She goes, what do you mean? I said, it's about spiders.
Did you tell
you
her
said it's a thrill-omedy?
Yeah, damn you. Damn you, Kerri.
I said, come on. I said, it's about spiders. It's supposed to be funny. She goes, what? She goes, what makes you think I'd want to sit with you and watch a movie about spiders? And I said, I'll be honest, I just don't want to watch it alone.
Yeah.
She should have recorded you watching it.
Yes.
We should have all recorded ourselves watching it because so many times I was like, get it off.
I feel like I would watch 90 minutes of Big D watching just about anything. Just about. I feel like I just want to study him.
This is the YouTube content our listeners want.
That's right. Yeah, they want more video content. Just here's Big D watching movies. Yeah, no, like I said, I'd never seen this movie, but I did grow up in Florida, which is the holy shit capital of big bugs, and bugs that you never thought would fly actually fly. So growing up, you just saw big, like you are accustomed to finding bugs everywhere. I think as a result of that, I was maybe desensitized to this movie because I lived those conditions constantly.
I grew up here out in Arizona, and we were talking about it before, but there's scorpions and rattlesnakes and shit, but we're also like the capital of those nasty ass tarantulas and brown recluse, which as a nurse, I've treated several really gnarly brown recluse bites. So I've seen some scary ass bugs. Also, we have those Palo Verde beetles. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with them, if they're anywhere else but Arizona, but they're these giant beetles that have got to be like the size of a small Volkswagen, and they like to linger where your light by your door is. So when you're trying to get into your house, they'll fly into your fucking hair, and they're the size of a house cat. One of them was in my car one time while I was driving, and I pulled over, got out, and screaming bloody murder on the side of the street.
Yeah, most people assume that Arizona is just nothing but scorpions, which I believe scorpions are arachnids, right?
No, they don't have eight appendages. They're in the insect family, the insect genome.
Oh, okay. I thought I remember. I don't know. It's been a while since I've taken high school biology. But yeah, no, that you're absolutely right. Those big black beetles are fucking scary as shit.
I can't believe I'm about to do this, but I'm going to have to say Roger was right. According to Wikipedia right now, scorpions are a predatory arachnid. They are 8 legs.
Fuck.
Guys.
I suspected it.
Guys.
Hell hath frozen over.
Guys.
He didn't even find it on Reddit.
Guys. Unbelievable. You're just now realizing that everything is coming up, Roger. All right. That being said, PG, play the trailer.
The Jennings family has just moved to the small town of Canaima.
Oh, Ross, smell that air. Oh, God.
In search of a simpler life.
Want a bullfrog? Okay.
It's the perfect place.
Goodbye crime, goodbye grime.
Except for one pesky little problem.
Come with me and look at the web.
The web? I have a
terrible fear of spiders. Come on, we live in the country now. It's time to work through this irrational, paralyzing terror.
It's not irrational.
Hollywood Pictures and Amblin Entertainment present Jeff Daniels.
Honey, we're in the living room. We need you to kill a spider.
And John Goodman.
Delbert McClintock, infestation management.
It's just a spider.
Would anybody object if I tore this floor out?
I would.
False alarm, then lead on. There's no spider here.
Every so often in a little town somewhere, there is a health scare.
There's a rumor going around that some kind of spider might have killed Sam Metcalf.
Doubtful.
Spiders make convenient culprits.
There's no spider here.
I think one of your Venezuelan spiders hitched a ride here.
There may be some spiders around here that are very dangerous.
God, chill out.
Just run.
They spread out from a central nest in a web-like pattern and dominate the entire area. When that happens, this town is dead.
Better uncork my private stock.
Rock and roll!
Hollywood Pictures and Amblin Entertainment present Arachnophobia. 8 legs, 2 fangs, and an attitude.
Perk up, Lloyd. If we find the spider that did this, you can arrest him.
Arachnophobia, a thrill-omedy.
Dr. James Atherton discovers a very aggressive new species of spider in the Amazon forest. The spider lacks sex organs, thus making it a drone. Nature photographer Jerry Manley unknowingly has a fertile male spider of the same species jump into his backpack, later that day sneaking into his sleeping bag and fatally biting him. The remaining of the scientists take his body back to the United States, blaming Manley's death on a fever. The spider crawls into the box and is sealed in with the corpse.
Oh, okay. So am I the only one? I felt like I was watching Jurassic Park.
Yes!
This entire beginning of the movie is Jurassic Park.
Yep.
They come in on a boat. It's a scientist. There's shots of the mountain. They have to go on a helicopter ride. There's even a reference where he asks, are there any dinosaurs that are going to eat me out here?
Yes.
We're just missing the da-na-na-na-na.
We even had waterfalls.
We need to talk about video content. We need to mirror the John Williams opening score with the beginning of Arachnophobia, and I believe they would completely match up 100%. But it's not just the visual styles and the cues, but it's also the outfit. Dr. Atherton is wearing, did you guys notice this? The same exact outfit as Sam Neill's character, Dr. Grant, right? Dr. Grant. Like, he's got the neckerchief, he's got the khaki pants. Like, the only thing Sam Neill was missing was the ponytail, and I think he would have nailed it.
Yeah, but they also had, in the opening scene of Jurassic Park, it's the lawyer coming in. So it's the out of, their element lawyer, somebody from the city. So of course they have the ugly American who comes in there, the photographer, and he's got to be wearing this cheesy ass, like 1990 Dolphins hat with the flat brim.
Dude, those things are worth money now on eBay. If you can get one of those Miami Dolphin retro style NFL hats, those things are worth money. I watched this with Megan. Like you, I had to watch with somebody else because it's scary. It's a thrill-omedy. But I remember those hats were like super popular growing up. And now with the retro look, everyone wants kind of the vintage look with NFL wear because the new shit is just wild and outrageous, especially with Miami Dolphins. But I turned to Megan. I was like, is that a Miami Dolphins hat? She's like, fuck, it is. But yeah, no, it's always great when you can see like a team that you support being recognized in movies. I know, Big D, you're a Yankee fan, so like everyone wears fucking Yankee hats, but no one ever wears a Florida Gator or a Miami Dolphin hat. So I was pleased.
And this, listeners, is why Roger never knows what the hell is going on in the plot of a movie, is because he's distracted by vintage sports memorabilia.
Shiny objects.
Yeah, so Mr. Man is his name. Okay, so Mr. Manley. So Mr. Manley.
It's Manley.
Yeah.
But he's a coward. Get it?
That's ironic. So Mr. Manley.
That's Frank Marshall directing for you.
He goes into the jungle, and I was optimistic right off the bat. I said, holy shit, they're in the jungle. It's a little bit of Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you have the locals who are taking you down. They're too afraid to go into the hole. I took science classes in high school and college. They're searching now for these unknown, unidentified species that have been here for millions of years. Why is the first thing that the scientist decides to do when he comes upon this, Garden of Eden of all undocumented animals and species, does he decide to smoke out the tree and kill like a million of these poor things?
Because human beings are the worst thing to ever happen to this planet.
Yeah, we're essentially a virus.
But we're like 5 minutes into the movie. They smoked the tree. And even now, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. The sound of those things hitting those collector cones, like thump, 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 and all the bugs And I'm not a huge fan of spiders, but it's like 5 minutes in, and I had to get like a blanket to cover me up because I kept feeling like shit crawling on me.
Yep.
Well, you were in the military, you were in the army. Like, did you ever? Because you had to like sleep outside, right? You had to like.
Yes.
I've heard of stories of like part of your training, especially being a ranger, is you have to spend a certain amount of time out in the woods on survival training. Like, don't they send you out with like a knife and like one MRE, and you have to get back like 4 days later?
Okay, I'm going to first straighten out. I was not a ranger. I was a sapper. I had gone to pre-ranger school, but I left before I decided to go that route. But what they do, because I've done prolonged field exercises, and this is one of the reasons why I'm comfortable in my sexuality. When you're in the field and there are a lot of bugs where I've been stationed and where I've gone, you have ticks, you have brown recluse, you have a lot of nasty bugs. So when you're out there with your buddies, you have to do what's called a tick check. So you can only check the front half of your body. No, tick check.
That's what the other soldier who was with him would do. They do some.
I thought this was a dick check. I'm sorry.
I'm lining up.
Hey, Big D, it's just really cold out. It's just really. Is that your canteen?
No, the dick check happens later at high school when Dr. Jennings decides to line the boys up. That's later. But in a tick check, you can only check the front of your body. So your buddy would bend over and pull his cheeks apart. And you have to check.
I bet he would.
And you have to check for insects, ticks that are in the areas you can't see. So I'm very comfortable with it. Thankfully, I saw plenty of brown recluses. I probably removed 50 ticks from myself, probably equal amount from my fellow soldiers. But
like
luckily,
within the cheeks, did you have to pull it from his cheeks?
Yeah,
like, there was one buried in some other soldier's butt, and you had to pull it out.
How would you not know that you had a tiny like insect in your butthole?
Hold on.
How would you not feel that?
How far up someone's ass have you been?
Okay, here's my question. Have either of you gone 3 weeks without a shower?
No.
Never. I'm pretty sure my college roommate did, though.
So at that point, you stop feeling things. When your uniform is starched from sweat and you're covered in everything from foliage to twigs to bugs to bites to you can't tell what's there. So yes, I've taken my Leatherman out and removed more than a few ticks.
I was camping at
Is that what you call your penis?
Your Leatherman?
Jesus.
Your Leatherman?
I was camping at the Grand Canyon last year for my birthday, and we slept in this tiny tent. And my boyfriend at the time, I woke up in the middle of the night because I felt something crawling on my ear. And I'm like blind as a bat without my glasses on. So I wake up and I'm screaming. It's pitch black. I'm like, something's in my ear. And he's like, oh, I got it. I killed it. I'm like, what was it? He's like, it's just a little beetle, right? So in the morning, I'm trying to shake out the tent. And I was like, where's that beetle? And he's like, it wasn't a beetle. It was like a giant fucking wolf spider crawling in my ear. And I start screaming and freaking out. I was like, if I would have told you, you would have packed the whole car up and driven home from the Grand Canyon. You're like, fuck right, I would have. A fucking wolf spider. So for 2 weeks after that, I was convinced it laid eggs in my ear. And I had every doctor I work with like looking in my ear. Is there spiders going to be hatching from my ear?
It's like a combination of scary stories you tell in the dark and Star Trek, right? With the mind bug. The mind beetle that they would use. But Gene and I, by the way, Gene is taking the night off to recharge, but Gene and I did some camping up in Payson 2 years ago during the summer. And we had a similar experience where we were sharing a tent and then I was tickling his ear. I was like, ooh, it's just a spider.
With your Leatherman?
Yeah, with my Leatherman. But no, we had separate tents. Now, when I go camping, I basically glamp. Like I bring a giant tarp. I set that down. Then I put my tent on top of the tarp because I don't want creepy crawlies, and then I bring tiki torches. But it was a group of us, hashers, if you're part of the hash house areas. So it was a bunch of us, and the hashers are all about drinking and nature and not wearing clothes. So during one of the events is the naked hash, and it happens at midnight. And it's always 5 minutes to naked hash. Well, at that time, people had just left food out, which is gross, which is why you don't eat after day one. But they had left the food out on this table, and they brought hunch punch and all these sugary drinks. Well, we're doing naked hash. Gene and I are naked. He's strategically got a fanny pack over his Leatherman. I'm fully nude. And by the way, it's 12 dudes.
This sounds scarier than arachnophobia.
It's one girl. Yeah. This is the scary part of the story.
Something ended up in Gene's ear?
Yeah. Again, yeah, exactly. But and then I was like, you know what? We should do a podcast together. So we wear headlamps because that's the way. It's dark. It's midnight. It's in Payson. There's no city lights. It's not like Phoenix. I look at the table where there's food and drink and all this stuff. It is covered with every woodland Arizona bug, beetle. It's just crawling all over the place. Things that you don't see, in the daylight are just all over, and their eyes are glowing in my headlamp, and my dick is out. And I'm like, I've never been more soft or more shriveled or more scared in my entire life than that particular moment. Like, I immediately was like a scared little turtle, and then I went boop right back in, and I was all testicles.
Did anyone find that, Dr. Atherton, he's kind of apathetic, like he's kind of nonchalant with the fact that this photographer he hired to come in and photograph just dies? They're like, hey, he got a fever. Oh, he's dead. Did he take this kind of nonchalant?
Yeah, that seems like it would be an emergency. Okay, we're 25 minutes in this podcast, but 15 minutes into the movie, we finally see our first spider, which is this nasty giant thing crawling into this coffin, but for some reason has a giant hole on the side of it. I don't know if that's for like leaking body fluids or what.
Okay, I'm gonna answer this because I thought the same thing. This movie does something really well. There's a lot of thoughtful callbacks that they do periodically throughout the movie that when you think it doesn't make sense, you'll see later on they explain it. Here, I was like, what the fuck? That's a convenient giant hole. That's the hole where they stick the poles through. So the natives, the local, the guides, their little jungle Sherpas can pick up the body, walk it to the water, and load it. That's what the holes were for.
That can't be the same coffin they shipped the guy back in.
As soon as I saw that spider crawl in that hole, I'm like, I know exactly where this is fucking going. Yeah. Burn that coffin, burn that body, burn that whole fucking island. Movie over. But no, of course, they're going to invade the whole United States with this species of killer spiders.
Yeah. Well, Manley's body does arrive in California, and the spider makes it outside and kills a crow in front of the barn of Ross Jennings, a family physician played by Jeff Daniels. Ross faces a lack of patience due to the elderly rival Sam Metcalf, who was supposed to retire and shift his patients to Ross, but decided to maintain his practice. The Amazonian spider mates with a female domestic house spider and makes a nest in Jennings' barn, producing hundreds of infertile drone offspring, all of which have a lethal bite. Ross, along with his son Tommy, has arachnophobia, making them targets of ridicule to wife Molly and daughter Shelley.
So the first half of this movie, it's convenient the way the spider gets in the coffin, it's delivered, the coroner turns around, it gets out. Then it's picked up by a bird. It's delivered to the doctor's place right as he's moving in. A lot of convenient stuff, but I appreciate the fact that we didn't waste time on some elaborate scenes of seeing this spider in transit. Would it really happen like this? Could a spider that size live off of just human juice? I don't think so. But thankfully, we didn't waste more than 25 minutes getting here.
I guess the problem that I have is if I were to open that coffin and I were to see a what do they call it? Not
corpse.
No,
it wasn't desiccated. It was.
It is desiccated.
Masticated.
No, is it masticated?
No,
it's desiccated. It's desiccated. That means all the blood is. If I open that up and I'm a coroner, I'd be like, that shit's not normal. Where's this from? Venezuela. Fuck you. Burn it. I'm out. Like, burn it all. Burn the building. Burn the plane it came in.
Instead,
we're quarantined. Yeah.
Instead, he makes a fucking sandwich and puts it on the autopsy table where his cat is also hanging out. What the fuck is a sandwich on the autopsy table?
Oh, I thought that fucking cat was going to get it. I was like, they're going to kill the cat. They're going to kill the cat. Kerri's going to be pissed.
Well, the cat gets it. But, I'm going to tell you as a cat owner, and I'm sure that Kerri can agree with this. I live in Florida. I've seen maybe one roach in the last 3 years because my cat, these two cats they're vicious. They will kill hundreds of bugs. They kill probably 15 lizards every 2 days. We have these little lizards. So if you want to get rid of bugs, spiders, anything, keep a cat. Cats are smart. But I'm going to give a tip to the audience here because I do occasionally have to hunt some flying roaches that are outside. A Dyson vacuum with an extension is the safest way to catch a bug. You can do it at a distance, the suction is strong enough that it actually hits, and you can verify that the bug is dead inside the vacuum.
It'll suck it out of thin air?
Oh, yes, without a doubt. If you have a good vacuum, yeah.
See, my cats are lazy assholes. All 4 of them. They won't catch a damn thing. They'll catch a cold every 2 weeks. I'm spending thousands of dollars to fucking take care of them, but they'll have a lizard and they'll let it live for like 6 weeks just swatting around with it. They won't kill it.
Well, I think your 3-legged cat has a reason, so give him a break.
He's got 3 teeth as well. It's so sad.
You're those designer hipster cats. Luckily, I have not found an arachnid scorpion in my house. Luckily, in Scottsdale, the areas I've lived in has mostly been old construction. So no scorpions live in desert landscaping if your house was built in 1960. But if you live out in Mesa or Gilbert or new construction, you see a ton of scorpions. But the other night I was showering, and unfortunately, here's the problem with old houses. It does attract cockroaches. You know, not the palmetto bugs that you guys have in Florida, but these suckers are big though. I'm like you, Kerri. I can't see anything without my glasses, and I'm not a weirdo, so I don't shower with my glasses on. But I was in the shower, shampooing my hair, enjoying the mint tingle sensation, and I look down. I feel something first, which is never a good sign, especially when you're in the shower. It's like that shower scene in Arachnophobia. I look down, I see a black blob moving around my feet. Ugh. And I scream like a child, Megan! And I'm like, bring me a shoe. And
bring me a shoe? Bring me a Dyson.
Yeah, because Megan's worthless.
What is this, fucking a rack? You throw a shoe at it?
Yeah, it was a giant roach. It was all over. And like, there's nothing worse than showering with bugs around. It was,
Well, I want to kind of do a quick poll here because arachnophobia is one of the biggest phobias that people have. The most common, though, surprisingly, at number 10. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what these phobias are because I'm just going to butcher them. But number 10, and you guys can chime in if you agree with this, fear of holes. Number 9,
holophobia.
Number 9, fear of flying. Number 8, fear of germs. 7, fear of small spaces. 6, fear of thunder and lightning. 5, fear of dogs. 4, fear of opened or crowded spaces. 3, fear of heights. 2, fear of snakes. And number 1 is actually fear of spiders.
Do you guys have any phobias? Like, what are you afraid of? Like, what gives you the most anxiety?
When you do dishes in the sink and you have that food trap and you have to stick your hand in the dirty ass water to let that shit out. I cannot. I stick my hands in strangers' bodies, in orifices, buttholes, wounds. I've seen the nastiest literal shit as a nurse. I cannot handle wet food in the food strainer in the sink. It's so disgusting and repulsive to me. It gives me goosebumps.
What if that sink has a garbage disposal as well that you got to get out? Like, does that give you extra anxiety or are you okay with that?
Oh no, I can't put my hand down there.
Big D, what's your phobia?
No, I mean, I worked in a deli when I was young, right in high school. And I'm gonna have to agree with Kerri. The big trays that they would cook like bacon on, and in the military getting KP, wet food in those large washing basins, they make my skin crawl. And even now, when there's dishes in the sink, I'd rather almost throw the dishes out. Like when some people leave them, I hate just wet, nasty food. So I agree with Kerri.
Really? Those are your phobias?
Yeah.
Wet dishes, dirty agree.
Bugs don't bother me, nothing.
Spiders are scary to me, but I don't know how often that's a realistic fear to have. I do the dishes more than I see a spider.
So I guess it would be kind of classified with heights, but I jumped out of a plane before. I wasn't a paratrooper like you, Big D. So I think heights are fine. What scares me the most, what gives me the most is going over bridges, especially when I'm driving. I'm fearful of giant bridges, especially in Florida. Big D, you know this, the Skyway Bridge from Tampa to St. Petersburg, scariest bridge in the world.
You're so full of shit. You have so many phobias.
What are you talking about?
Commitment.
Oh, well, yeah.
Go propose to Megan after all this time. What do you think? How's that make you feel? How's it make you feel?
Not the same as going over bridges, but I definitely don't want to do it. I'm definitely afraid of it. It's like when Bruce Banner in the Avengers says, how do you control the Hulk? He's like, simple. I'm always angry. Like, I'm always anxious in relationships. Like, I'm always uncomfortable. I'm always 1 foot out the door because but like I live with it. I've grown to accept my fear of commitment.
Did we watch a movie today? Was there some movie that we watched?
I was just about to say, you know what really scared me when I was younger?
Well, no. But let me
Y2K.
Speaking.
Oh my
that's
God.
right. I remember Y2K. You thought airplanes were going to fall out of the sky.
Kept me up for weeks.
Didn't it? But let me ask you this. So speaking of the Hulk, what if Peter Parker had an arachnophobia before he was bitten by a radioactive spider? Like, what if he was Spider-Man, but also wrestled with the fact that he was afraid of spiders?
That'd be fine as long as you have fucking poor Dr. Jennings' wife who thinks that it's therapy to take a man who's had a traumatic experience with spiders and then make him climb a ladder in a dusty old barn to see the biggest spider web ever known. That's like taking somebody with a fear of dogs and taking them into like a pit bull training session and being like, hey, go in there. Fuck no, that's not therapy. That woman was being cruel to her husband.
It's called exposure therapy.
Yeah, you do it slowly. You show one little spider and you say, hey, let's be friends. You don't take them into a barn with a cat in a fucking net.
It's like what they did to Shaq on Shark Week this year. They can't even find wetsuits to fit the guy. We're going to put him in an aquarium full of sharks. But what I love best about this movie, though, is that I think for the first time on camera, they've captured spider porn. Like, you actually see... You see the Venezuelan spider lure in.
It was
the common U.S. Like, was there a message there? Was there like the suavemente gentleman, taking over the American woman, on vacation, and he's like, "Hey, baby, why don't you come over here and tickle my toxins?" I don't know.
Well, they had to christen the new house. Maybe the spider pulled out a tiny bottle of Napoleon brandy and said, it's bad luck if we don't make love on the first night. Is that a real thing? Do you have to have sex the first night in your house or it's bad luck? Is that why every relationship where I've lived with the person has failed miserably because we didn't fuck the first night?
No, but listen, as somebody with a child, as your child gets older, it makes finding adult time a little more challenging. You've moved in a new house. Your kids are a little uneasy. You're in a house that obviously it's older. You can hear things through the walls. I think it's awkward, but I got to agree with Roger. The way that they pair and match those two scenes up, the romance in the bedroom, is nowhere near as hot as the spider porn. It cuts, and to say like the Venezuelan spider's like, "Hola, caliente." He comes out.
He's like doing some salsa. He's like showing her the moves.
And he kind of puts out like one of his arms and they touch. It was hot.
He's putting out the feelers. He's peacocking, right? I think he negged her a little bit.
Oh, God.
That shit was hot.
Fucking nightmares.
Ross's first patient, Margaret Hollins, dies after being bitten by one of the new spiders. Dr. Metcalf diagnoses it as a heart attack, although Ross suspects that something else was at work. After a spider also kills a football player whom Ross treated, in quotation marks, treated, he becomes known to the town as Dr. Death. When Dr. Metcalf himself is bitten and dies, Ross suspects deadly arachnids could be infesting the town. Ross and County Coroner Milton Briggs perform an autopsy on the victims and confirm that Ross's suspicion of the deaths were caused by spider bites.
Okay, so this movie doesn't work unless you have believable spider performances. This is back before CGI, so everything except for the big spider at the end, the general spider, was a real spider. And that big one at the end, just side note, was built by, if anybody watches Mythbusters, Jamie Heineman. That was one of the first props that he built for the movies. So that big one at the end is his, but every other spider is real. And I kept finding myself, I said, how do they fucking make these spiders do these things? Do they just do takes 1,000 times over? And I found some interesting stuff here, so I'm going to drop some spider knowledge on you really quick. They held the production team what they called the Spider Olympics, and they went and got like 10 species of spiders, and they put them through a bunch of events, like how do they react to cold and hot, which ones were faster, which ones looked scarier, which ones could jump, and they narrowed it down to pick the spider that they wanted to, and they called it the gold medalist. It was a 3-inch wide Delania spider, and it's harmless, but it looks mean. and it's native to Australia and New Zealand. So that was how they came down to it. So every spider you see is real. And I was like, how the fuck did they make the spider? Because the spiders, to me, were the best performers in this entire movie.
Are you trying to fucking tell me that at the end of this movie, when hundreds and hundreds of spiders are crawling out of the house, those are all real spiders?
They are real. They got 300 spiders each week and got shipments every 7 days to keep the count replenished. And the way that they would control them, I thought was kind of neat and also sadistic. They somehow found out that the spiders really hated lemon pledge. So they could spray it down on the ground because it got sticky on their little legs. So they would spray the direction where they wanted it to go. So the spiders would not deviate off of that. And the other ones, they would take and actually sedate them and take a tiny filament and glue it to the back of the spiders so they could almost like wrangle them to get them to do what they wanted. They didn't do this, like you said, with a giant scene at the end with the hundreds. Those they just dumped in buckets. And if you go look behind the scenes, it is skin crawling. But these spiders, they kicked ass. They claim again at the end, no spiders were harmed in making this. Bullshit. But those spiders, even though they looked terrifying, were really harmless. And to me, they're the star of the show.
Well, I did read on that scene where John Goodman, like, was a slow-mo, his shoe comes down and he, like, crunches a spider, that they actually, like, made a shoe that had a hole in it and that the spider just crawled up into a little, they trained it to crawl up into a little ball so he doesn't actually smush it. And then they just recorded someone stepping on some potato chips.
This is the problem I have with Hollywood. Okay? It's a fucking spider. You know what?
Yeah, but
there's plenty of them. They don't feel anything.
How do you know that?
Have
listen,
really?
You ever been a spider?
Spiders are our friends.
Have spider? Listen,
They
I've
help.
read Charlotte's Web. I get it, but come on, are we really going to provide more protection? For spiders than we do for child actors?
Roger, let's do the math. They got 300 per week.
Yeah.
Do you really think they didn't have any die? They're just saying none died.
Yeah, but why would they? So they had to hire some union prop guy.
They died of natural
to build
causes.
a shoe.
Some union spiders.
Yeah. I just love the term spider wrangler. Like if I could get business cards, and I would that would be my opening line when I met girls like Kerri at the bar. I would be like, "Hi, my name's Roger Roper. I'm a spider wrangler," and they would know I was serious because I would have a business card that on one side would have my information and on the other side would have like a spider with a smiley face. Spider wrangler.
And just to give him credit, the wrangler's name was actually Stephen Kutcher, so he was the official spider wrangler. But it's effective because I found myself thinking spiders were everywhere. Anytime someone walked in a room, whether they were checking like a coffee cup, they were picking something up. There's a scene where the doctor's going through notes. I expected there to be spiders everywhere. So they built a pretty good tension, expecting me to jump, even though they didn't overdo it.
Yeah, well, the spider performances are good. But for every good spider performance, there's an actor that's just absolutely bombing. And these are actors that I like. John Goodman, Jeff Daniels. I respect these actors. I think they're good at what they do. Jeff Daniels killed it in, the recent HBO show. Well, he kills it in Dumb and Dumber, but he also kills it in
Newsroom.
Was it the Newsroom? He's amazing in that. John Goodman is fantastic. But in this movie, they're fucking terrible. I don't know if it's Frank Marshall. I don't know if it's the script. I don't know if it's other factors in the movie. But I guess the thing that made me take pause is for every scientist that says, a biological term and you actually kind of believe that they know what they're fucking talking about. You have Jeff Daniels, who's a Yale educated doctor from the big city, and I was just thinking to myself, Kerri is going to tear the exposition apart because it seems like he doesn't know fucking medical language at all.
Two things. Just because you played a mentally handicapped person really well in Dumb and Dumber doesn't mean you're a good actor.
Oh, hold on. Mentally challenged. Let's get it right. Mentally challenged.
Mentally challenged. You want me to re-say it?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm like, are you going to have to edit that out? Oh, fuck. No. Who did I offend now?
No.
Mentally challenged. Doesn't mean you're a good actor. I cannot fucking stand Jeff Daniels.
To be fair, our entire audience is mentally challenged.
And half the podcast.
That's our target segment.
No, I was writing, a list of the medical inaccuracies. We see again another Hollywood performance of terrible CPR. When the kid falls on the football field, it's like I think someone goes to take off his helmet. It's like you wouldn't fucking do that.
No.
And then when the doctor's like, "I'm having a seizure. Call 911. I'm having a seizure." The first rule, and they'll teach us in the medical field that like there's ways of finding out if someone's faking a seizure and if someone's actually having a seizure. And they can have people that have, epilepsy and stuff can have what's called an aura, where they can sense one is coming on. Like they might taste something or smell something or see an aura or hear buzzing, ringing, and they can say, "I think I'm going to have a seizure." But when you're actively seizing, you're not yelling out, "I'm having a seizure. I'm having a seizure." So that was really fucking annoying. And that's simple research that's all that would take. But yeah, he was not actively seizing. Maybe the spider bite was making him act that way. I don't know.
Well, Kerri, I'll give you another one. I'm not sure if you've, had a group of young men stand in front of you nude in the shower, but I've gone through many hernia checks through high school, sports, the military. I've never had a doctor say, "Hey, let's get everybody together. Let's just all line up. Let's stand here. Let's take down our pants. And I'm just going to walk down the line really slow, and have you cough." Is this how on the West Coast, you guys live out West? Do they do these hernia checks in group settings?
I don't know.
Roger, I would assume that Kerri has never had to turn her head and cough.
If they did, I want the name and location immediately, because that's how I'm going to spend.
Are they hiring?
That's where I'm going to now work. And also I'm going to use my employee discount like every time I'm off.
But do you blame them? Like they start nicknaming him Dr. Death at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, he's new in town.
Sure.
The current doctor decides he's going to keep going. He doesn't have a practice. Then the neighbor turns up dead. The kid at practice turns up dead. He's doing group shower, penis checks. If I'm anyone in this town, I'm not going near this doctor.
I played high school football and high school baseball, and I ran cross country. I don't ever remember them calling in a doctor to do a hernia check. I don't think at 17, like you, or even 14, Kerri, is it medically, like, are your risks high for hernias at that age? I figured that was like more of an older man syndrome. I like, when Fletch goes and gets his prostate examined, you're like, okay, well, Chevy Chase is an older gentleman. Like, when you're over 40, you got to check for polyps. But at 14, are we at risk as men for hernias? Ball checks? Like, do we have to do this procedure?
Guess what I didn't interpret it as a hernia check unless they specifically said that's what they were doing.
Oh.
But
listen, that's exactly what it is.
Well, but for when I was in high school, if you wanted to participate in any extracurricular activity, you had to have a physical from a doctor to be cleared to do anything. And for males, that included, I don't know why, but turning your head and cough and checking your testicles. And for a female, it was like, do a set of vitals. That was it.
Yeah, because hell, why wouldn't you include it?
So what you're saying is I definitely did get checked. I've just blocked it out of my memory like a...
Please, you went to Catholic school. I'm sure they were giving you hernia checks all the time.
I didn't go.
They were checking you a lot.
Yeah.
No, I did not go to Catholic school. I was a public school. I'm proud to say that I'm a graduate of the Florida public school system. They gave us money to stay in the Florida public school system, and look how I've turned out. I'm just fine.
This explains a lot.
Yeah.
Along with the list of medical inaccuracies, I had a list of near misses and how many times it was just conveniently that everyone kept missing a spider by like an inch. One is falling from the ceiling and they stand up right at the time that it would land on them, or they go to step on it and they just nearly miss it. So it has me wondering how many fucking times I've nearly missed a spider and not known it. Isn't there some study, and I don't know if it's bullshit, that you swallow like 7 spiders in your lifetime while you're sleeping?
It's 4 to 5 a year that go in your mouth.
That's not true.
It is.
That's a mother's tale.
Listen, no, it was part of an infographic, so it's real. It has to be real if it's on an infographic.
It was shared on Facebook.
Oh my God. I'm never sleeping again.
But listen, Kerri, I want to correct you. You think it's near misses? This is just the performance of the spiders. There's scenes where the spider is like shimmying left and right. It is stalking its prey. This was intentional. This was not near misses. This was the spiders starting to torment and taunt the actors. This was all part of the plan, and this was in their performance script.
These are highly evolved spiders.
Did anyone see when, I think they were in the girls' room, when the spider comes dangling down from the ceiling and lands on that baby doll's face, that the baby's eyes move? The baby doll's eyes move. I'm like, what is this, fucking Tommy knockers? What did that have to do with anything? Why was the doll all of a sudden eyes animated?
Because even inanimate plastic objects are frightened of spiders.
Ugh.
But I want to ask you, because we can't do it at the end here. You mentioned a couple of, the spider ambushes. So I want to ask you guys, which is your worst fear? Is it spider in a football helmet? I'm going to guess no for Kerri on that one. Slipper spider, spider in a cereal box, shower spider, toilet seat spider, or popcorn spider?
Fucking toilet seat spider.
Toilet
seat spider. All I could imagine was like, oh my God, what if I had to vag back a fucking arachnid? One time I was peeing at someone's house and I flushed the toilet after I was done peeing, and a cockroach flushed with the water. And I was just screaming because was that cockroach just up under the toilet lid, under the seat? And what if it had crawled on my bare ass or worse? Ugh.
Roger, which for you?
Yeah, toilet, without a doubt. I mean, that's the beauty of being a guy, is that we have the ability to pee standing up. So we have like a whole like 360 surroundings visions of like what's coming into our stream. And then if we see something, we just pee on it. Like that's our, like we have built-in security. But when we got to go number 2, like I'm always like, I knock the bowl before, like if there's any critters, like I'm not just doing what Delbert is doing, which is just, lazily putting my hand around. No, I fucking make sure that there's no toilet cockroaches, no toilet spiders, no toilet snakes before I go to the bathroom. Also, I think my bidet scares the insects.
Except cockroaches.
And it scares other adult men.
That's right.
Yeah, after this, I was like, well, I guess I'm never going to eat cereal again. Welp, I guess I'm never going to put my shoes on again. Welp, I guess I'm never taking a fucking shower again. I'm going to have to shower with my eyes open at all times.
Well, Atherton arrives in town with his assistant, Chris Collins, joining Briggs, Sheriff Lloyd Parsons, and exterminator Delbert McClintock, played by John Goodman, in the spider investigation. They discover that the killer spiders have a short life expectancy due to being a mixed breed, which, you know what? Fuck you, arachnophobia, saying that mixed breeds aren't as good as pure breeds. What kind of message are you sending? Adopt, don't shop. Atherton learns that the general spider, like the general, produced a queen, which likely mated with to produce a second nest, someplace guarded by the queen who could produce fertile offspring. Atherton elaborates that the transplanted spiders can progressively expand their territory, possibly culminating in their worldwide dispersal. The group sets out to destroy both nests and kill the queen and general.
Okay, so in here, there's a really interesting transition that introduces us to Delbert. And it starts off really tense. It's probably the most tense scene in the movie, where they're investigating the old doctor's house to see what had killed him. So they're looking all throughout the house, and Dr. Jennings is almost killed. The spider kind of is going to jump at him, and they catch him under a wine glass. There's then a smash cut to Delbert pulling up in like his hillbilly truck with some like hijinks music. Even though Goodman is remembered as one of the memorable parts of this movie, I didn't get a vibe that his performance was truly original.
No, and the Delbert's theme song, I'm glad you brought that up, was the worst part of this movie. It completely like takes you out of what is supposedly, it's supposed to be a thrill-omedy. I guess this is the omedy part of thrill-omedy, is his boom, like it's fucking terrible.
Dude.
Fuck you, Frank Marshall.
But he is not even attempting to put an original performance. This is John Goodman as Delbert McClintock doing a spot-on impersonation of another exterminator, Bill Murray, Carl Speckler in Caddyshack. One's hunting gophers, one's catching spiders. Even the intonation and what they're saying, that's good wood. Got to get good wood, bad wood. It distracted me from everything else that was going on.
Yeah, exactly. This guy he's supposed to be kind of the clown, but also an expert. But it doesn't work. I hate John Goodman's performance in this. And it feels like you said, it does feel like a ripoff of Bill Murray's character.
If I had an exterminator come to my house, it was like, party time to rock and roll. I'd be like, I'm leaving a bad fucking Yelp review for this after this guy leaves. If he doesn't murder me if I survive this. Party time.
I will say, if you guys ever had your carpet cleaned, and I mean that like in a literal sense, I don't mean that like in a, yeah, thank you, Kerri. So,
I don't even know what that means. Oh yeah,
I don't even know what that means. Yeah, fucking love getting my carpet cleaned. Gotta pull out the Dyson. So I was like you. I based my entire selection of this carpet cleaner on Yelp reviews, and he was the highest rated carpet cleanser in the Phoenix area, the Scottsdale area. This guy was the weirdest dude in the world. He showed up in a van, which I get, and he had an entire equipment. But like when I was like, hey, yeah, I think my dogs have peed on this rug. He got down on that rug and just like started smelling it. Like I don't know if he licked it a little bit, but he might have. But like he was like, yeah, that's definitely feline urine. And I'm like, you don't have to be scientific. Like, it's cool. I get it.
Scientifically, it would have been canine urine, but I mean,
canine urine. Yeah. Like, again, that's why I gave him only 4 stars, could have 5 stars, because you should have known that was canine urine.
You're a hypocrite.
He was the weirdest dude in the world, but he did a fucking phenomenal job. If you ever need to get your carpets clean, I will send you the link to this guy. He's I Clean Carpets by Rob. I Clean Carpets, Rob. Very he's cleaned multiple rugs for me. He'll clean your upholstery. So yeah, check him out.
You're an adult male that dresses like a president at sporting events, but he's weird.
Yeah. So you want to know what weird is here, though? Why does nobody in the town take the approach that I think any of us would? Everyone, you're living in some little bumblefuck town. They really drive that point home. Why doesn't anyone? If I went into my new barn and there's a giant spider web, or there's people being killed by spiders, why the fuck doesn't everybody just do the normal thing? Run, get in your car, leave town, come back in the winter. I would not be staying to try to, solve this mystery. Am I alone in that?
As soon as there was 3 confirmed deaths, I'm burning that fucking town down. I'm moving out. 3 confirmed deaths of quarantine that fucking city, town, or whatever, and burn it to the fucking ground.
Yeah, to quote Bill Paxton, you got to fucking take off and nuke it from space. It's the only way to fucking be safe.
I feel like for as bad as Jeff Daniels is as a doctor in this movie, he's a really good detective when it comes to finding infestation of spiders. He's even better than the scientist spiders. He's better than Dr. Atherton. Like, he knows right away it's a spider infestation and we need to quarantine the town. But like, if they want to make the audience believe that we should be scared of these spiders, they should at least put some of that budget that they made into the props. Like, I get like they're real spiders and I respect practical effects. I really do. But when the dead coroner and his wife, who by the way is played by the actress who is in the Drew Carey show, you could totally tell that's a wax figure.
That is the worst fucking wax figure I have ever seen. When the guy with a spider crawling out of his nose, it doesn't look anything like a human being. It's worse than a mannequin.
See, normally I would say, hey, this was 1990. You guys are being too hard. But then I got to go back to the gene effect, and that in 1991, a year later, T2 came out. So yeah, they should have done a better wax figure. I got to agree with you there. But talking about creepiness and the creepiness of those wax figures, nothing is creepier than Spielberg. Okay. Raj, neither of you two were on the podcast that we did for Indiana Jones for Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I know we always see sexual perversion and deviance in the movies we do. So I had to get some backup on this because I got some really creepy Steven vibes again. So in Indiana Jones, just for people who didn't listen to it, he has a relationship with Marion. Okay. So they hint that it goes farther back. In a released transcript between Lucas and Spielberg, they were debating about how old it was appropriate for Marion to be. And this is actually dialogue that they have that's documented. So Lucas says, it would be amusing to make her slightly young at the time. Spielberg, and promiscuous. She came on to him. Lucas, 15 is right on the edge. I don't know if that's ideal, but it's interesting. Once she's 16 or 17, it's not interesting anymore. But if she was 15 and he was 25 and actually had an affair, the last time they met, she'd be madly in love with him. Spielberg would be like, yeah, and she takes pictures of him. So they're debating whether or not it's appropriate for an adult Indiana Jones to have sex with a child, a 14-year-old, that's interesting. Let's fast forward to Arachnophobia. They want to do a terrifying shower scene where a spider lands on your head. They have a minor.
They could have chosen the wife.
The wife!
They could have chosen the wife.
You have a girl who hasn't even graduated high school yet, right? She's 17 at most likely 16. And they get her in the shower. She's lathering up. She's getting sexy. This is PG-13. That spider goes right down between her breasts, and the camera is cut right at the edge of the nipples. They went as far widescreen as you could, aspect ratio, to just miss the nipples, and it goes right above her pelvic area. What is Spielberg doing? This is a kids movie. This is a thrill-omedy.
First of all, Spielberg didn't direct this movie, but he was an executive producer.
Oh,
he's a Frank Mark. So
Spielberg.
For all the Spielberg.
Spielberg said, Frank, it'll be interesting if she was promiscuous and a minor. That's what he said.
That is not true whatsoever.
It is.
I did find it creepy. However, I was really rooting for some shower boobs because that's what you want out of your 1980s horror movies. Like, you want a little bit of shower boobage. You want a nipple to appear out of nowhere. Like, you want, like, that's why the movie Airplane is so brilliant, which, by the way, go and vote for it on our website, shatthemovies.com. But like, when all of a sudden everyone's panicking in the airplane that it's going down, and then just a random woman who's topless comes in the shot and like jiggles her breast and then runs wide out. Like, that's what you expect out of your 1980s movies.
But that was an adult.
So I was totally expecting.
That was an adult woman.
Yes, it's an adult.
I know. That's why I agree with you. They should have put the mom in there, and then we could have had some shower boobs.
Yeah, but Airplane, again, is a movie that has a child. Asked by Leslie Nielsen, hey, Joey, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
That was not Leslie Nielsen. That was not Leslie Nielsen. That was the pilot. That's not Leslie Nielsen.
Well, regardless, an adult man asks a child if he's ever seen a grown man naked.
Do you like movies about gladiators?
Yeah.
Gross. So I was 15 when I lost my virginity to a 24-year-old. And I thought that was cool at the time. But now as an adult...
Hold on.
Kerri.
Yeah, no, wait, but now as an adult, I'm like, that's fucking creepy. I don't even date men that are younger than me, like, by a year. I don't even date men that are my age by a year.
Yeah, you like them older.
So how did that happen?
Well, I like them older, but I'm saying now that when I was 24, I would have never, ever, ever fucked a 15-year-old.
Yeah, because it's illegal. But how did that date start? He picked you up behind the school so no one saw you in his Camaro. He took you to Chuck E. Cheese. You guys had some pizza. He got you box wine, and then he took you and parked out behind the Costco.
Yeah,
no, I had a fake ID saying I was 18 and I was dancing at a gay bar, and I met him there.
Wait, did he at least ask how old you were?
He knew how old I was. He knew I was in high school.
Oh.
He dropped me off at school one time.
Oh, you weren't lying to him?
No, he knew how old I was.
You didn't pull a what was Steve Buscemi's character?
I cannot tell you how many fucking men have a Lolita complex.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We gotta.
You've never been a teenage girl before, but let me tell you.
Really? Is
And I don't think I hit puberty until last year, so it's even weirder.
He's like, man, I dig it that you shave. And you're like, no, I just haven't hit puberty yet.
Ugh. Well, to be fair, women reach puberty earlier than men. I mean,
is that right?
But that's gross. That's disgusting. Like, Big D, you have a daughter. That's got to be like your worst fear.
You better lock her up. Chastity belt.
No, that's why I'll be honest with you. I won't be there when she's put in a situation like that. All I can do is give her a good example of a man and the way I treat my wife and her. And hopefully that day when that 25-year-old creep tries to take her out back, and she'll be like, this isn't the right thing to do. Because in the end, it's out of your control.
You're right. But let me ask you this.
Keep her away from Spielberg.
Yeah, that's right. Keep her away from Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy, who's an enabler. No, I don't know that. I'm just making that up. Please hire me for your production company. Deducing that the nest is in his barn, Ross sends Delbert to destroy it. Delbert finds Dr. Atherton dead, having been bitten by the general. After disturbing the web, Chris gets the Jennings family out of their infested house, but Ross falls through the floor into his wine cellar, which turns out to be the spider's second nest, guarded not only by the queen, but also the general spider. After electrocuting the queen, Ross battles the general while also attempting to burn the second egg sac. He becomes trapped underneath fallen debris, with the general about to deliver the killing strike when Ross flings the general into a fire. As the egg sac hatches, the general jumps out of the fire. Ross shoots it with a nail gun, and the projectile sends the burning spider into the egg sac, destroying the nest with fire and therefore ending the plague.
So I kind of ruined the end of the movie for myself. I knew ahead of time that Jamie Hyneman had built this spider at the end. I kept expecting that this was misleading, that there was going to be a giant spider. I mean, something like the size
That is a
of
fucking giant spider.
I thought Hollywood spider, like something the size of like a dog, something large. So I kept expecting him to realize all these spiders and what turned out to be the general spider wasn't the real one. When they did the close-up on those 3 eyes and you see the flame reflection, I kept waiting for some giant dog spider to come out and get him. Was I alone in that?
Like those sand spiders like in Afghanistan that are like the size of Dobermans. Ugh.
I was picturing some Hollywood giant spider. So in the end, when it turned out to be the right spider, I was like, oh shit, that was it?
No, if I found that thing in my fucking house, the story I'd be telling was a giant spider the size of my cat. That was fucking big to me.
It was.
You think that was big? Did you guys check out the size of that spider egg nest?
Ugh.
Oh, that pulsating nest?
That pulsating coconut. The best thing about that egg nest is when they're trying to be funny in the Delbert truck. And then, they left this exposition in because, it's complete double entendre, but, they're talking about the egg nest. And I guess it's the assistant, right? It's Chris Collins. He's like, you know it if you found it. The area would be dark, warm, and moist. It'd be kind of a musty smell, and you'd probably see an egg sac, white, cocooned, pulsating, about the size of a softball. Like, are they describing a spider egg sac, or are they describing like my grandfather's like nether regions?
No, that's Spielberg all the way.
I was gonna say, was that when someone talks you through your first encounter with a woman, you'll know when you get there when it's warm and moist.
Yes, there's a musty smell.
Yeah, my problem though is, come on, ground some of this end battle and fight sequence in reality. He falls to the floor. Okay, we had the call back to the rotted beams. He can't escape the basement. Nice callback to him saying, I have to lock the basement because I have my expensive liquor and wine collection. But cognac is not flammable. Him throwing like a Merlot at a flame is not going to set these spiders on fire.
Not the chateau.
No, Micah, let's throw the white Zinfandel. That's flammable. No, it's not. And he takes, I'm handy. I like to build things. I have a nail gun. A nail gun has a safety. You can't just start shooting it in the air.
He shot that fucking spider mid-air. That's ridiculous. It's so predictable. It's got that, like, I guess, thrill-omedy, if you want to call it.
But what about the sound effect? The gunshot? It's like, and he shoots it out of the air?
Yeah, I didn't know it was a nail gun until I read your notes. I thought he had a fucking gun. Where did he get that gun? Oh, it's a nail gun.
What's worse, the ending of Arachnophobia or the ending of Gremlins? Because they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, this movie ripped a lot of shit off from other movies. But I was reading, that scene in the basement, it took them 2 weeks to film. He shot like 16-hour days for 2 weeks, Jeff Daniels, trapped under that fucking wine rack for 2 weeks and kept throwing bottles of wine, which they instructed him he couldn't hit the spider because it would like fuck up the prop. So he had to get within 2 feet from it. But 2 weeks, and that's what we got? That's the end scene? What a garbage fire.
It looks like Jeff Daniels is fucking annoyed. So I can, like, now that I know that piece of evidence, I'm like, yeah, I get it, Jeff Daniels. Like, you're in a shitty movie. They've made you work 2 weeks trapped under a shelf of fucking bottles of wine, throwing them at a prop spider. Like, I get that you hate your existence right now. So that definitely came through in his portrayal.
But the problem is they had just had the shower. They're in the bathroom. They're trapped upstairs. And there's spiders on the wall. There's spiders under the door. There's spiders pushing their way through the handles. There's spiders everywhere. And it's creepy. When he falls through the floor, to have it just be that one spider, it would have been better if all these spiders that were pouring out of the drain.
Crawling on him. Yeah.
Yeah, crawling out of like the bathtub. Imagine if, I think it was Aliens, where all the drones come out, the main aliens, and they back off when the queen comes in. Imagine now if we've got a couple thousand of these normal size spiders down there closing in on him. They see the general and they back off. So it's like a one-on-one battle.
Yeah. So it makes it even scarier.
Yeah, that shit would have been awesome.
No, this was very predictable. I mean, we need to talk about how they ended up in the bathroom in the first place. They're downstairs in a house like, oh, God, spiders. We can't go out the front door. Everybody in the house run upstairs. We'll go to the bathroom and climb out the second-story bathroom window and climb down a trellis. Like, the fuck? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, and then there's always the scene inevitably when you're climbing down the trellis that the trellis it can't support the weight of the final guy, just like in Jurassic Park. Timmy gets stuck on the fence. It's this scene again, right? It's someone has to fall on the fence, and oh my God, and then Jeff Daniels has to find another way out. Yeah, it's very predictable. It's very tropey, and the last part of this movie is pretty terrible, in addition to what Jeff Daniels is singing while he's attacking the general.
I have never hated Jeff Daniels. As soon as I saw him in the opening, his first scene in this movie, I'm like, God, I fucking hate him. He's so annoying. But this scene where he shoots a spider midair and is hunting him down in the basement singing, itsy bitsy spider crawled up. What?
No.
Is he schizophrenic?
No, hold on. That is not the most, the most offensive use of music in this movie. Okay, that wasn't that bad. So you talk about the ending being bad. No, out comes, Delbert, he saves the day. He starts spraying them. Yeah, all the spiders are dying because their life cycle is so short. It then cuts to San Francisco. And how do we know this if we didn't identify the skyline? Because we hear fucking Tony Bennett singing, I left my heart in San Francisco. So let's, a little heavy-handed, we're back in San Francisco. So the only living doctor in this town has abandoned the town in its moment of need. Then we get an earthquake. It's a lame ending. And I think it can't get worse until they do the most ultimate 90s moment. They obviously went to Jimmy Buffett and said, Jimmy, listen, we're doing a movie about spiders. Could you write us a song about spiders? And this is what fucking Jimmy Buffett gives. I'm going to read you the lyrics. And Kerri likes when I do spoken words, so I'm going to do a little bit like that. Don't bug me. Don't mug me. I'm better left alone. Let me twirl in a world out in the wild unknown. Night crawling, free falling, just don't get in my way. Don't squish me or death wish me. That's all I have to say. I can spin a web, spin a tail. Leave me in the jungle, take me out of town. Right side, upside down, I'm flaky, real flaky. 8 legs and a pea brain. Fuck you, Jimmy Buffett. This is the worst. Like, how deliberate what did this take him, 5 minutes to write?
If only Jimmy Buffett and David Bowie could do a collaboration. It's like a Chilly Down, but about spiders.
Exactly.
Nothing could be worse.
Listen, as a self-affirmed parrot head, and someone who grew up in a parrot head family.
Oh, God. Yeah, we talked about this. I said, this garbage, this written garbage here about a spider, I said, people are actually conceived at Jimmy Buffett concerts. Mm-hmm. And Raj?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was conceived at a new house, like when my parents bought their first house. No, you said I was conceived. And they played, and then played Jimmy Buffett in the background. It's either that or I was conceived at a Jimmy Buffett show. No, I've been to many Jimmy Buffett concerts in my life.
This explains a lot.
Not as many as Dave Matthews, but I've never heard the song before. This is, I think, the beginning of Jimmy Buffett selling out, because at this point in 1990,
Beginning?
This is the beginning.
His entire musical career is a sellout.
Yes. I think no, now it is, but like he's cashed in on that. In 1990, he was still kind of underground. He was still kind of
1990 Jimmy Buffett is what you consider underground music.
1990 Jimmy Buffett is still
get the fuck out of here.
People are longing for the 70s when Margaritaville was a big hit. He didn't start cashing in on Margaritaville until at least 94, 95.
He fucking mentally checked out in 85.
If someone's entire career is to create an atmosphere of nostalgia, they're fucking sellout.
Yes. The only thing this man
he's just feeding that what that generation wants. He's just opened in Florida retirement communities.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here's how you know you're a sellout, especially to
because you're Jimmy Buffett.
You've sold your name and brand to the people who are getting too old to live by themselves. So you create a community. Now, if you're Jimmy Buffett, your brand is the beach and like luxury living. So if your idea is being able to provide a lifestyle where you're out on the beach and you're cracking coconuts and you're stepping on pop tops and you're drinking margaritas the entire time, why would you fucking build your retirement community inland, Florida?
No, but
why wouldn't you put it on the fucking coast?
But how long until he comes up with a song about getting your bedpan changed and changing diapers and 3:00 lunches?
It's coming.
The only thing Jimmy Buffett has that he should not be embarrassed about is, if you go to Margaritaville, he has the Calypso coconut shrimp and dipping sauce. That is the pinnacle of this man's creative ability.
It is delicious. I tell you what, you know what Jimmy Buffett is? Jimmy Buffett is adult sing-along music. You know, you have a kid, Big D. When you take Emma, when you have
Emma's
to take your
2.5 years old.
Take your daughter,
and she's got better taste.
She would rather listen to the Wiggles. The Wiggles.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Jimmy Buffett is adult Wiggles.
Yeah, cold spaghetti, spaghetti. Yeah, that's fucking Jimmy Buffett. Cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti.
Go to a fucking Jimmy Buffett concert. It's all about, like, when Jimmy Buffett tries to pull out a song that he wrote after 1994, everyone's like, well, time to go get a fucking drink. Like, play the hits, boy. Play the hits. Like, that's what it is. It's adult Wiggles. That's Jimmy Buffett. It's Frozen on ice. That's what Jimmy Buffett concerts are.
Ugh. I can't imagine a worse experience than seeing Jimmy Buffett live.
We gotta go.
Besides walking through a spider web.
We gotta go and we gotta dress up. Well, that concludes, the movie's over. Now's the time of the podcast where we take out our Shat meter and give you our wipe score. If you've never listened to the podcast before, 0 wipes is a perfect movie. 5 wipes is the equivalent of a general Venezuelan spider having sexy spider porn in a barn and producing a giant egg sac and releasing a horde of killer spiders onto the world. That's a 5 wipe movie. That being said, we'll start with you, Big D. How many wipes do you give Arachnophobia?
So this is the first time that I hadn't kind of decided ahead of time. So I'm going to do it right now. And I just wrote myself a little checklist. Did I laugh? No. Was it scary? No. Did I find myself itchy? Yes. Would I recommend this to anyone? Maybe. So
what?
I think,
when would you recommend this?
Yeah.
When the fuck would this ever? You know what you need to watch? Arachnophobia. Oh, here, a shitty movie that Jimmy Buffett wrote a song in. You got to try Arachnophobia.
It doesn't even sound like a Jimmy Buffett song. There's no steel drum.
Okay. So, okay, maybe recommended is strong. I would not dissuade somebody from seeing it. So if somebody was like, hey, Arachnophobia is on, I wouldn't be like, fucking change the channel, turn it off. So for that, it was something new. It was a thrill-omedy. They were trying not to be, it was PG-13. The first, I got to say, if anything, it went by pretty quick. And for that, I was thankful. So I'm going to give this 3 wipes. A little worse than average.
Oh my God.
Nothing spectacular. No, it's a 3.
It's not a 3.
You would think that if a movie that Jimmy Buffett wrote a song for, it'd be called a chill-omedy.
Oh, you're so fucking lame.
Because he's got a license to chill.
Lame-omedy.
Hey, I'm going with 3 wipes. If I factored in the Jimmy Buffett song, it'd probably be a 4.
So what are you giving it? What's your final score?
Three. But just turn it off after the earthquake so you don't have to hear Jimmy Buffett.
Kerri, how many wipes do you give this movie?
This movie, the what did you say? A chillomedy? A thrill-omedy? I thought they were going for it. I thought they were going for that like B horror kind of, ironic, funny, not really scary, but a horror. But it was just so predictable. And I feel like they were stealing so many things from so many other movies. And if it weren't for me personally being afraid of spiders, there would be absolutely nothing scary about this movie. The acting is terrible. It's cheesy. The special effects are ridiculous. The wax figure, come on. The music literally is the worst. Jimmy Buffett is the worst. And the plot sucks. And again, like Big D, I didn't laugh. I didn't find any of it funny or ironic. I hated every moment of it. Not as bad as In the Mouth of Madness. Sorry, Richard. So I can't give it a 5 because there are worse movies in this, but this is a 4.5.
Wow, a little harsh.
I think even worse than the wax figure, though, is when Jeff Daniels' character is trying to escape the spiders and jumps over the ledge and does a somersault into the basement where he discovers, like, you can clearly tell when it does a hard cut to a faraway shot and his character is toppling over the banister. It's clearly 100% a completely different stuntman, right? Like, it looks
and it took
terrible.
Him 2 weeks to film that. 2 weeks
to film this. That being said, I agree with Kerri. This is a 4.5 wipe movie. There are worse movies than this, but I hated this movie. I fell asleep. It took me 3 times to watch this movie as well. It's not scary. They try to make the spiders. Here's why in the 50s, these B movies were giant bugs, is because you need some sort of scale. You need some sort of reason to be afraid of these. Every time they tried to make the spiders, which I applaud for practical effects, because Lord knows they would be CGI, just like Spielberg and Frank Marshall used CGI ants in Kingdom of Crystal Skull that fucking ruined like Indiana Jones for me. But you need a giant 50-foot spider. If there's that, I'm afraid. Even throw in a steampunk mechanical spider like in Wild Wild West. I'm more afraid of that than I am of arachnophobia. That being said, this movie's terrible. I really felt bad for Jeff Daniels. I really felt bad for John Goodman. They're totally underutilized. The only part of this movie that's good is the first 10 minutes because it reminded me of Jurassic Park. So for that being said, it's 4.5 wipes. So if we were to add up 2 4.5s and a 3, that gives us a 12, which after you divide by 3 gives us a 4 wipe average. Big T, where does that put it on the pantheon of Shat movies?
Okay, so as much as I was complaining, I think it kind of falls where it belongs. This is now tied in the 66 spot with Real Genius. It is worse than GoldenEye and A Christmas Story. It is better than Time Cop and Backdraft.
It's not.
I would watch Backdraft.
I would watch Time Cop before I would watch this.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
it's close. It's close, but it feels right. The system works.
Yeah, I would watch Time Cop just because Van Damme's funny. It's just funny to watch him.
It says a lot that I would rather watch a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie than this Jimmy Buffett spider pile of crap.
This chillomedy?
Yes.
Now that our wipe score is solidified, we switch to our shout-outs and the next movie category that we're going to be reviewing. With Gene away, though, we don't have any shout-outs or we don't know how to access it. So we'll save it for next recording. Big D, what's the next movie category that we're going to be reviewing?
So the next one is, it's going to be real interesting to say the least. It was box office flops. The contestants were 1983's Staying Alive, 1983 Krull, 1984 Dune. 1991's Hudson Hawk, 93 Last Action Hero, and then from 86 Howard the Duck. And this was a big one again. We got almost 2,000 votes, and the winner is clear. So listen to the outgoing trailer, and you'll find out what we're doing next week.
If these people voted for Howard the Duck, I'm quitting the fucking podcast.
Fuck that. Howard the Duck was my childhood. I watched that movie constantly. In fact, if there's any cool vintage Howard the Duck shirts or memorabilia, please send them to me. You can find me on Twitter at Roger_Roper.
Good grief.
I will buy that from you, especially if it's a ringer tee with kind of a distressed Howard the Duck logo on that. So yeah, that's really what I want. Hey, thanks everyone. We're all, the three of us are the trio. We don't have any shout outs. So I just want to thank everyone who reached out to us on Twitter. The three of us are all August babies. I think it was Big D, then Kerri, then myself within a period of like 14 days.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for all the birthday wishes. It was wonderful.
Hey, you're forgetting a birthday, Roger. August 17th of 2016. So 2 years ago, Shat the Movies was born. So
that's right.
So the four of us, the podcast and the three of us, all had birthdays within a few weeks.
And I'm recording this on all my birthday presents from you guys. I'm able to record by myself today on a new laptop and all the things that come along with it.
Yeah, I don't even have cable organizers.
That I don't.
Look at you.
Like I said,
like a spoiled child.
All the things that come along with it. I don't know what any of it's called, but this thing I'm using, I don't know how to turn it on or off.
Yeah, for all of you who don't know, Kerri, you probably know by now, Kerri's technologically challenged.
That's to say the least.
So we pieced together a full setup for her with a laptop, microphone. So this is the first day that she's alone in her own home recording. So we're glad to have you finally on your own, and this will allow you to join us more often.
Yeah. But thanks everyone who did reach out. It really means a lot, and thank you so much for hanging out with us and having us on your podcast or Spotify or wherever you download. Well, that concludes this week episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're everywhere, including Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. Just follow at Shat the Movies. Our Facebook is Shat the Movies Podcast. Our website, where you can vote on upcoming movies up to, I think, 20 weeks in advance. 20
weeks, yes.
Is shatthemovies.com. If you want to suggest a movie category, or if you want to, just write into us and say hi, our email is hosts@shatthemovies.com. If you want to support the podcast, go to that website as well and click on our donate link. We're everywhere fine podcasts can be found, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by any of those, please be sure to leave a 5-star review. That really does help the podcast grow. You can also check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review television series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, and Game of Thrones. You can find all the information and downloads on our website, shatontv.com. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert, and Kerri Delbert Gross, I'm Roger Roper. Be sure to join us next week for the following movie. Take care, good night, and good luck.
A great classic comes to the screen.
Stay thy hand, fair prince.
Who said I'm fair? To be or not to be? Not to be.
Columbia Pictures is proud to present the screen's greatest action hero, Jack Slater.
Don't even think it, Slater, you hear me?
This is the Lieutenant Governor.
Slater, here's what I...
The governor gets you, call me.
And Danny Madigan is his biggest fan.
Jack Slater 4.
But tonight, a magic ticket...
It's a passport to another world.
...will get Danny closer to the action than anyone ever dreamed.
Holy cow! I'm in the movie!
Who the hell are you?
Don't shoot me! I'm Danny Madigan, I'm a kid!
And you're going with him.
Who is this twerp? And where is that smile on his face?
I don't even know this kid.
To a world that's bigger than life.
This ticket is magic, and it really works.
And better than real.
You really believe that you're inside a movie, don't you?
Yes! The bad guys are in there. I've seen it. On screen.
Could I speak to the drug dealer of the house, please? Have a nice day.
Have him killed.
This summer, it's head-on thrills.
I have killed people smarter and younger than you.
Head-first excitement.
I hate when it happens.
He's got the ticket!
Now I possess power. Real power. this world, the bad guys can win.
The door must still be open. Come on.
If I go, how do I get back?
And it's coming at you from both sides of the screen.
Where am I now?
This isn't the movies anymore, Jack. Please be careful. Things were different here.
Damn it, that hurt.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Jack Slater.
This hero stuff has its limits.
And Jack Slater is...
Everybody down! Now!
the last action hero. The big ticket for 93.
I'll be back. Ha! You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
I do?
Well, now that the wipe score is solidified, now's the time of the podcast where we break out our...
Wow.
Well, now
you just had a stroke on the air.
I did.